Welcome to another episode of Lakes Country Living. We met Irene Sansness, the master gardener in this story, at a soil seminar hosted by our sponsor, Growers Mineral Solutions. Just as farmers add beet lime to their fields, she sees the benefits of adding calcium to her garden soil. We take you now to her home, a family farm near rural CYRUS.
The farm is a century farm. It's called MACMEL Farm from Martin, who was the original owner of the homesteader. And then Andrew and Christian were his two sons that he brought with him from Norway. Christian was the oldest, and so he inherited the farm, which is a tradition of Norwegian descent. Then when Christian died, then Melvin came over here to live. So then it was Melvin that coined the name, and then Lauren is the next descendant. So there's actually 4 descendants, and with our children, that would be the 5th generation of people that have lived at MACMEL Farm. And so I'm an implant, but that's okay. Yeah, Martin, Andrew, Christian, and Melvin is me and Lauren. It has to go back to 4-H days when I was in home beautification and the county winner several times and county fairs, but that probably was the basis of opening up a life of plants and flowers. When we came here to live, then of course Mom and Dad had a greenhouse. That was Lauren's dad, but I call him Dad. And he had a greenhouse, he had a green thumb, he loved flowers. And so it just kind of came naturally that when he needed help, we were there. One of the things that I love about gardening is a full freezer at the end of the season. I'm a cook. I do a lot of sharing of my vegetables with others. That's kind of the joy of gardening. And it's just a life of gardening and farming. I buy my seeds from Fedco. It's a co-op from Maine, so it's mostly organic. They will tell you where their seed is coming from. They have a wonderful book, so if anybody's interested in it, it goes online, fedco.com, and they have a potato section where you could get a whole page of different potatoes. And they have a lot of information in their catalog, so I really, really have appreciated that. And I've used their seed maybe 5-6 years. It's always fun to see what you're going to get. In my garden, we have leeks. Leeks was something that I didn't know anything about, but my sister said, here's some leeks. And so I've been gradually learning how to raise leeks, and I've got them buried at least that deep this year. So I should have a pretty good white stem when I get done. So they look pretty slender, but I've been foliar feeding them, and now I have them mulched, so hopefully they'll grow. And then I have Lincoln peas, and I put them on hog panel, and then I will when they're done now in about 2 weeks, then I will plant my cucumbers on the vine. And it is so nice to pick cucumbers on a vertical standing because you can see them, and even the dog likes to pick the big ones. I raise the green beans, Provider, and Inca Gold yellow beans. They are absolutely the best. Last year, they were so tasty. I do use calcium on everything when I plant them, and I think that contributes to the flavor. And it makes them really strong. They're very delicious, absolutely delicious. Just lay it on the roll. We tried to do it with the potatoes. We put it in the hole before the potatoes, and we've done it outside. And then I do it with carrots, I do it with the beets, I do it with the cabbage. I transplant, I do it with the broccoli, and then I have red cabbage, which I have really, really liked, learned to love, and it's later, and it stores really well, especially with the calcium, and I think that helps. And I will make that into coleslaw. That's part of the process. If you raise it, you gotta eat it. You can't throw anything away. That's the way I grew up. I've already dried my sage for this year, And I've got my basil in the dryer right now. And then I usually do onions. We also have hot red peppers, and so we dry those too. I even put some hot Ho Chi Minh peppers in dill pickles. This year we did something new with our tomatoes. We used a hog fence that's on an angle, so we're trying to get them to climb up that way rather than cage each one. I'm pretty basic as far as plantings. I will try some bok choy later as a second planting. I did try some fennel, which has a licorice taste, and then there is a bulb that you use for soups. Let's see, I think 4 years ago, Lauren ordered these 6 blackberry plants. They came and they were beautiful plants, and so then we worked all day. It was quite a challenge to get them planted, but we had them now for 4 years. They are absolutely gorgeous. They're blooming now, and they're being pollinated, but we've been watering them, and we put some compost on them, and I put an iron peg in so that they get some iron because the leaves were turning yellow, so I just put an iron stake in the ground. And one of the things I have done with melons is if you get them overripe and you get a lot of them at one time, and you don't know what to do with them, puree them, add a little sugar, and freeze it, and make it into a punch. It is so good.
I bet.
And we had a 50th wedding anniversary up at church, and I used that, and of course it was yellow and golden, and then and everybody, would take a sip, and of course they didn't really know what it was, and ooh, that's good. So that's what I would do with any.
So what kind of a melon were you using?
A muskmelon.
A muskmelon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so it has that unique flavor, and you don't really expect it.
Neat.
And so that was really fun. Yeah, yeah. So I do have squash. I have the butternut and the buttercup. I have all my squash in one area. Here again, I'm using some butternut heritage. One of them is called Mama squash, and then the other one is a dessert squash. So we're hoping for a good squash product.
Great.
I think I've already picked a dozen zucchini.
Uh-oh.
Before I actually picked peas, I had zucchini. But I'm keeping them short, and they're really crisp. We've had them different ways. Sometimes they saute them. They're really good with scrambled eggs. A little bit of zucchini and an onion with butter, and then saute them with scrambled eggs. Stir fry. Don't over fry them. Just heat them up and let them be crisp.
Yeah.
They're easy in the microwave, just with a little butter and a couple minutes. And so, if you keep them small, then they don't become a problem. And I have them right out in my hill garden so that I walk by them every time I go down to the barn. And I have a black zucchini, and it's really open so you can look down into it and see the plants. And that makes a big difference because you can see every one of them, and they're just blooming their little hearts out. Nice. So we're going to have a lot of zucchini. I have a relish that I make for tartar sauce. We have our little 10-year-old grandson loves to fish. And so he said, "Oh, Dad, we forgot the fish in the freezer." So hopefully they'll keep us in fish for a while. And the tartar sauce is really, really good, made with that relish and some mayonnaise, and
Neat.
It can't be beat. It's kind of a typical one with cucumbers and carrots and peppers and onions. And you cook it up with a vinegar sauce. You can get a big recipe out of a few. If your cucumbers are smaller and fresh, you don't even have to peel them. I mean, people need roughage in their diets. And the thing of it is, all your vitamins are right underneath the skin. Yeah. And so I don't peel potatoes. And I've been steaming my potatoes. My new potatoes, we had potatoes for the 4th of July, about that size. So we live pretty good.
We'll say goodbye to Irene and MACMEL Farm for now. But if you'd like to check out some of Irene's recipes for yourself, visit Lakes Country Living on Facebook. And while you're at it, be sure to like our page to receive other interesting posts.